Hi, welcome to Walk Wild. My name's Matt, and today I'm going to be telling you how to walk the Hadrian's Wall path in the UK. I'm going to mention quite a few things, like references to more information, and that's all going to be linked in the description below. If you've enjoyed the video, of course, please like and subscribe. Okay, so firstly, where to start? The Hadrian's Wall path is 84 miles long. It's in the north of England and it runs from Bowness-on-Solway, which is near Carlisle, to Wallsend in Newcastle. Wallsend is also called Segedinum. It was built in AD 122 by Emperor Hadrian, and it was built from east to west. So it started in Segedinum or Wallsend and went all the way to Bowness-on-Solway. So it actually crosses the whole neck of England just below Scotland. It's not the divide between Scotland as people often think it is. It's the Scottish border's a bit further north, but it was originally built by the Romans to defend from the Britannic hordes that have been there. Nowadays, National Trails have built a walking path that goes all the way alongside the wall. So you can walk basically across the neck of England and follow the wall. How to get there? Newcastle is the bigger transport hub. If you want to fly from anywhere in Europe or an international flight, then you're probably going to be looking at Newcastle. If you're taking a bus, Carlisle has a bus station. Driving, obviously you can find parking spaces on both ends. I actually decided to drive to Carlisle and leave my car there and then walk the wall and then just go take the train back from Newcastle to Carlisle to pick my car up. How to find your way around? So National Trails do this amazing thing where they signpost and label everything really well, and their symbol is an acorn. And so you will see the acorn on all of these signposts everywhere throughout the walk, and basically that guides you along the way. You need to keep following the acorns, keep a lookout on walls, on fences, on trees, and there'll be an acorn and there's sometimes a distance to the next location as well. And so I actually didn't bring any maps with me when I did the hike. I could just follow the whole thing by looking where the acorns were. There are OS maps you can buy, and I'll link some of those below, but I think generally you can actually just do it by following the acorns like I did. Where to stay? Now, I'm a big fan of wild camping, and I always have been. It's not technically legal in England and Wales. In the national parks, you're not really allowed to do it, so it's kind of do it at your own discretion sort of thing. For Hadrian's Wall path, I wouldn't say it's worthwhile camping. I think it's better to stay in the campsites because there are a lot of campsites along the way. And I collected a list of all these campsites, which again is in the description below. And if you want to know where the campsites are along the way, then that's a really good way to plan how far you want to walk every day. So if you just divide it up by each leg by where you want to camp, and then that's a good way of doing it. Alternatively, there are some lovely B&Bs and inns and pubs that you can stay in. So like booking.com and Airbnb and that sort of thing can get you really good accommodation. So what to pack? Well, for this area of England, Northumberland, you want to pack a lot of waterproofs. So you want to have a really good waterproof jacket. You want to have a good rainproof cover for your backpack. You can bring waterproof trousers. I don't really wear them. I did get soaked in rain when I was up there. But I wear a rain poncho more often actually that covers my bag as well, kind of does everything at once. You want to bring good hiking boots, of course, or at least trail running shoes, which are lighter, but they're not as good in muddy weather. Yeah, if you're camping, you need to bring tent, stove, everything, sleeping bag, sleeping mat, all your stuff. If you're just walking day to day between the accommodation, then you can also get your bags delivered, and there are delivery services, which can be very useful if you want to keep your load light and just carry a small day pack. That's also possible. But just whatever you do, try and pack as light as possible because there are some long distances you're going to be walking and it's going to be difficult. So you want to make sure you don't overpack. Wear lots of synthetic materials, don't wear too much cotton so that it will wick away the moisture and it won't get you too cold. What are you going to see? So one of the main things that's incredible about this walk is that you have all the amazing nature of Northumberland National Park, and this is all the big rocky crags, amazing rivers, forests, fields. It's very dramatic up there. And then on top of this, you also have the incredible history of the Roman wall. There are lots of famous forts where there are incredible artifacts and remains that you can visit. So lots of historians really enjoy this walk. Some of the most famous ones are Vindolanda, I think it's Housesteads, Chester's. Also, the Sycamore Gap is a very famous tree that's right in the middle of this gully, and the wall runs alongside it. And it was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's also Carlisle Castle, which is really incredible, and Lanercost Priory. Those aren't Roman built, but they're still interesting English history. So there's a lot of really amazing historical things balanced with incredible natural landscape, and so those together make this walk really, really amazing. Is it safe? Is the next point. Well, it's as safe as a hike is going to be in terms of there are the risks of, falling, slipping, twisting your ankle, grazing, even breaking bones at the worst. And I think that some of the paths can be slippery and crumbling, but National Trails do monitor and maintain this, and they try and keep it as safe as possible. I would say bring a little medical kit with you. That's a really important thing. So you can treat blisters, you can have ibuprofen if you've strained something, or paracetamol. You can look after yourself while you're out on the trail. That's very important. I think a portable charger is also a good thing to bring, because I had signal for most of the walk, and it was good to have my charger so that I could recharge every night and call people if I needed to and stay in contact. Another alternative, if you want to feel really safe, is to just walk with a friend. I walk alone. That's kind of how I like doing it, but if you want to maximize your safety, it's good to go with another person. So where to eat along the way? Obviously, Carlisle and Newcastle, either end, big cities, is when you'll be able to get plenty of food. Loads of places to eat there. Along the way, you kind of walk through villages and hamlets every now and then, and those are the places where you're going to be finding food. Generally, you should bring a lot of food for yourself if you're camping. Make sure you have stuff on your meals in the evenings, and loads of snacks throughout the day. But there were some really great pubs I walked past, and cafes. The Walton Reading Room Cafe in Walton was lovely. The Twice Brewed Inn was probably my favourite place I went to, because it's right bang on in the middle of the hike in the Northumberland National Park at Once Brewed, and there's a lovely pub, and I had a massive meal there. It was excellent, just when I needed it. And then also the Robin Hood Inn, which is further east. That's also excellent. I have really good food there. Now I'll just go through my day-to-day itinerary, just give you a bit of an indication of what distances I walked. So from day one, I went from Boundless on Solway to Monkhill. That was 16 kilometres, and I stayed at the Roman Wall Lodges. It was a relatively short day because I'd driven all the way down from the south up to Carlisle. I'd been driving for like 4 hours that day, maybe more. So I didn't want to do a massive day's walking, and I kind of used that as a warm-up. That's really nice because you start looking out over the Irish Sea, and then you come in on the estuary, and it's quite flat. Basically, the only bit of the sea you actually see during your walk. Day 2 was Monkhill to Laversdale, so that was 21 kilometres. Stayed at Blairtarn Farm that night, and this day involves going through Carlisle. So 21 kilometres isn't enormous, but you actually spend quite a lot of time walking around Carlisle as well and looking around. The terrain isn't too difficult because you're going along the River Eden for quite a bit of it, and it's fairly flat, and there are lots of lovely pastured fields and that sort of thing. Day 3, Laversdale to Banks, and I stayed at the Quarry Side campsite, and that was 18 kilometres. Another short day, stopped in at Lanercost Priory. It's shorter because it gets harder when the closer you get to Northumberland, so it's good to do shorter stretches at the start to warm yourself up. Day 4 is Banks to Once Brewed, which is 23 kilometres. Now, this is one of the 2 best days on the hike. It's just incredible. I camped at Windshield's Farm, which is right in the middle of the national park, and you can see the massive ridge with the wall on top of it, and you're in the valley below. It's just incredible. You start passing through some of the Roman forts here as well, and you get really significant remains of the wall. Day 5, Once Brewed to Woolwick, which is 20 kilometres. I stayed at Greencart's Farm that night, and goes through the whole of the national park, the rest of Northumberland, and you go through Roman fort after Roman fort after Roman fort, and you go past Sycamore Gap, and it's just absolutely incredible. This day is definitely the best day of the hike, and there's so much to see. You probably won't actually be able to see it all. You have to pick and choose which Roman forts you want to see, because they're not all right bang on the wall. Sometimes you have to walk away from them to visit it, so pick and choose, but this day is amazing. And then day 6 was Woolwick to Wylam, which was a huge day. 32 kilometres to Stevenson's Arms, which is where I camped, which is a terrible campsite. Don't go there, but It was also a few miles off the path, and it was just not a good thing to do because it added on so much extra distance. I probably should have just booked a B&B that night, but I wanted to camp, and that was the only campsite I could go to. So that was a really long day, but I had to do it long because the weather was terrible and had a storm coming in. So had to get the most out of that day for the sunny weather. And then day 7, the last day, which was Wylam to Wallsend, which was 25 kilometres. You get to the River Tyne, and then you follow it into Newcastle past the 7 bridges. Then you get to Wallsend and you finished. Congratulations. In total, I walked 155 kilometres, which is 96 miles, and that was over 7 days. Now, I said at the start it was 84 miles, but the thing about this trail is that lots of the campsites are not near the actual trail. You have to walk to get to them. Same with towns if you're staying in B&Bs. And some of the Roman forts are also not near the main path, as I said. So just factor that in when you're doing your planning. Now, a few bonus tips just before I go. First is to stretch. Stretch and warm up and warm down in the morning and at the end of the hike, because it's going to be really physical in your body, and you need to do proper exercises to make sure you can manage that sort of exertion. And stretching was one of the things that I didn't really do at that time, and I've learned since then how important it is and how helpful it is. Second is wearing your hiking shoes. I've seen so many people who buy new hiking shoes, go on a hike, and their feet blister to ribbons. It's just crazy. You have to wear them in and make sure they're comfortable. Wear them with proper socks that you're going to wear on the hike, and make sure you can really trust them not to give out on you while you're walking, because your feet are everything and they need to be looked after. Next is to do some research, because it's one thing seeing the wall. It's incredible, just you can tell it's the structure and it's in this amazing landscape, but you don't really have an idea of the full history around it and everything that happened and how long ago it was built and why it was built. And if you've done a bit of research on that before you go, it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable. So I'd recommend just spending a bit of time reading up on it before you go. The last point, which I've sort of mentioned already, is walk from west to east. So some of the guidebooks say it's the other way around, and they say that because the wall was built, as I mentioned, from the east. So it started in Newcastle and then it finished in Bowness. But I think you should walk the other way around, mainly because you're following the prevailing wind. You're walking in the direction of the wind, so the wind's at your back, and you're not getting blasted in your face by rain or wind knocking you over and all that sort of thing. And you're just going with the conditions, which is really important. And yeah, that's everything. I mean, if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do my best to answer. There's lots of extra details and links to things in the description, so you guys can check those out. And I hope you enjoyed everything. Thanks and good luck with the hike.